What's one moment you found yourself asking yourself, what the hell am I doing with my life? When I had to move several bags of trash out of my shower so I could clean myself, only there wasn't really any space to put them because more trash bags. Granted, I was living in a really tiny space, but this was the moment I stopped and really had to think for a moment. Started on antidepressants a couple months later. Now, as I'm struggling to finish my PhD, the mental health burden and burnout is so bad that I've cried while doing my tasks more times than I can count. It doesn't really increase my employability. Honestly, I don't know why I'm doing this. It's most days honestly, but most recently when looking into buying a house. The advice was to make sure you are good with being there at least 5 years before wanting to move or it's a bad decision, and it got me thinking about my job and social situation and all that. Basically it came down to I don't even want to be here tomorrow, but I'm sort of okay with it, and I realize that describes most of my life. I don't really like it, but I can put up with it. When I woke up one day and realized my life is exactly the same as it was 10 years ago. My last low-wage job. When I pawned my wedding ring to buy more pain pills. That particular incident actually got me to go get help. Been clean 11 years now and got my ring back a few months later. As shitty as that incident was, I needed that and it probably saved my life. Addiction sucks so bad. Earlier today when I've seen my reflection in the window sitting in my office and I thought, so this is it? That's how my life is going to look like? Marathon. Everyone who runs a marathon asks this question. Every morning I wake up. Often I just go back to sleep, so sometimes I get to ask again. Smiley face. Every morning when the alarms rings at 0515 hours. Today, when I realize that although I've been making changes, I'm not actually making the changes and nothing feels exciting or fun anymore. So today is the last day of that. I'm unhappy and I don't want to be. When I was in the church, one time I asked my pastor if I could read up on Wicca. I was dating someone who was pagan and I wanted to know more about what she believed, mostly because I wanted to try to get her to convert. He forbade me from reading anything about it. I had a moment where I realized I've allowed myself to be in a position where someone can tell me what to read and not read. It was one of the big red flags that lead to me leaving the church. Whenever I become too aware with my existence. I had just gotten off the phone with my then husband, crying after another argument about why had I fill in the blank without asking him first. He was not even in the same country at the time, yet I still needed to clear it with him if I wanted to do anything other than go to work. It took a friend asking me, why do you let him treat you like that? Over the course of several months, and that last ugly phone call to snap me out of it. Leaving him was the best decision of my life. I was working nights, going to college days, and socializing and sleeping at, Got so exhausted I was hallucinating while driving. Finally snapped when I realized I had to go to work again and hadn't slept since the last time I had to go to work and was breaking down physically and mentally. Fuck this, went to bed and slept 2 days. And since 2 no-call no-shows was a fireable offense, I was now blissfully unemployed. One night in 2015 I spent hours watching a Times Square NYC livestream cam well into the early morning. Why was I watching this? Because of a thread on B where there was a random traffic cone that people kept saying they were going to kick over. Nobody ever did, but there I was, 5 in the morning watching a traffic cone on an empty street. Here are some screenshots I saved from that night. I cried in an airport because my flight home got cancelled. Had a traveling job where I was gone at least 1 week a month and it was making me depressed and anxious. A nice lady gave me a hug and thought a family member died or something. Then she told me to quit my job. I actually asked that after a night of partying. Yet again. It changed my life. Just now, thank you op. That's called Monday. Monday. Every Monday. Usually I ask that when I'm looking up something stupid or I find out one of my friends is doing amazing things while I'm still figuring out what the hell I'm doing. So basically I ask that question once a day. I had a job I hated, I was sleeping with a woman who was lying even though she didn't have to, and I weighed over 300 pounds, quit my job, ghosted the chick, and started losing the weight. Interestingly enough, I had started this part because of the woman. When I realized I wasn't myself anymore, I was just her name here's boyfriend. It took me months after we broke up to recover my identity. Last night while working at KFC, every time I am even slightly hungover. When my boyfriend at the time was in the kitchen arguing with the woman whom he was currently cheating on me with. I was literally in between them as they were about to physically attack one another. I said that to myself while handcuffed in the back of a cop car once. After breaking 2 million blocks in Minecraft, the table was covered in ketchup. The spoons were everywhere. I could see fires in the distance. The mayonnaise people. Oh god, the mayonnaise people. They nibble at the hot dogs. I forgot my eye drops. Jesus Christ, the mayonnaise people. Roughly an hour after taking shrooms, and the rest is history. When I turned 25 and realized I was still living with my parents. When I read your question for the first time and wanted to answer it. I was shit-faced in a strip club by myself on a work night. Academic probation at university due to spending more time playing football, boxing, wrestling and throwing drunks out of bars. Ordered 2 large pizzas and ate through both while sitting in bed. Literally no dopamine hit from any bite. Decided that food no longer gave me pleasure, and from there I lost 115 pounds. When I got done pissing on my then girlfriend while she sat in a bathtub. We had a dom-sub relationship with an emphasis on degradation, but as soon as she mentioned after the yellow shower that she wanted to evolve our dynamic into a DDLG and she wanted a pacifier, I was like, nope, I'm done. What is my life right now? And yeah, when you're in the holding cell so many times that it starts to feel like a second home. After getting fired from a steady job for stealing funds, I took out another payday loan to go buy more Lortabs. Half drunk on the way home, I backed into a parked car and fled the scene. Needless to say, the cops showed up at my house shortly after. Over and done with that shit. Stealing ceiling tiles from a Kmart that had gone out of business to take them to another Kmart before the landlord took the property back. When I realized I had to go to school for over 12 hours straight for months. Theater and band is not a great combo. This time last year I was smoking a gram of weed a day and drinking a few beers a night to cope with a shitty job that I hated. I was numbing everything and wasn't present in my own life at all. Now I barely do any of either after a cold turkey break that lasted a few months and feel a ton better. I also am in the process of switching careers to where the stress-pay ratio isn't ludicrous. And you may find yourself in a beautiful house. Waking up, hungover, again, right now, here at my shop. Freshly dumped, wonder what the fuck is happening next. The moment I randomly decided that I'd taste every alcohol because of my do it at least once philosophy. Every alcohol I taste is the equivalent of vinegar with either flavor or soda, yet I always tell myself it might be better this time. It never gets better. I handcuffed myself to a farm gate and had a wank, on camera, for money, unamused face. When I spend my whole day watching Netflix and scrolling Insta Reddit dealing with deep depression and an eating disorder. I would without fail wake up, eat my proportioned meal, walk for 4 hours, eat my second proportioned meal, walk, or 4 more hours, go to my part-time job as a dog walker, come home, stretch and go to sleep. Repeat. Literally nothing else for a year. Post-nut clarity. I was in a toxic relationship. She told everyone I abused her physically, which wasn't true. She cheated on me, threatened to have my friends and me hurt by groups of people she knew. I was depressed, overweight and suicidal. One day, after getting yelled at by her mother about how she can't wait to have me in prison for hurting her daughter, I finally snapped. I told her it was over and went on a 2-day vacation to reevaluate my life. Turned out a lot better than I thought. I woke up one morning and was looking at some money on my table that I received from selling drugs. My paycheck from my job just hit and it was only like $600 full-time minimum wage. Baby, the amount on the table was about $400. And couldn't pay my bills no matter what I did, and I knew I needed to improve myself. After a trek with my father, he asked me about my love situation and I was embarrassed to tell him that I got dumped by a worthless person. It was either the trek or him that made me realize that I need to stop falling in love with people who weren't worth it. 2 weeks later I met my husband and we have been together for 6 years today. A former colleague of mine left the company and is making at least 50 more pay, along with equity and a full WFH situation. We had both been with the company about the same amount of time at that point, but I have 6 more years of experience. I'm looking for a job now. I was crying over my job. I quit the next day. I now actually wake up excited for work and don't spend the night before paralyzed with dread. I enjoy every day. When I wake up, 1. After another lonely night of consuming porn. 2. When my brother-in-law was killed in a car accident. 3. 10 years later when I was hospitalized and intubated after COVID. Porn is bad. Don't consume that shit. IT work for the purpose of IT is really soul draining. This, every day. This one, Sunday afternoon. As someone in pest control, there are a lot of those moments. Every single morning, when my alarm goes for the 3rd time. When I log into Reddit, waking up in a holding cell. Every time I finish jerking off and look at the number of tabs I have open. When my car caught on fire and I found out I was having twins when I was getting ready for a partial hysterical. What? I prayed and have beautiful baby boys. I was 29 and due to bad decisions I won. Lost my job of 5 years 2. Lost my best friend 3. Got divorced 4. Dealt with an unwanted abortion. What turned me around was seeing how big my son had grown and that he could talk. It made me realize how much I fucked up and so I turned it around. Took me over 10 years but I can say I'm happy where I am now. Usually around my birthday. Ever since COVID I've been sat in my room playing Apex. I'm still horrible. Although I realized 2 months ago now I've stopped. I genuinely have comments of how pale I am. Get her vitamin D every single day. I got pulled over while drunk and on psychedelics, had a full conversation with 2 police officers and walked away without a slap on my wrist. Every day. Hoping to cease to exist one night. At my very first job, I was a billing coordinator making $30,000 a year. Literally just cold calling companies to remind them they owed us money. 80 of my time was spent on Reddit. I wasted 2 years of my life there because I was worried companies would think I changed jobs too much. I should have left months in. Pretty much every day at work when I have shit all over my hands from some old bugger's dirty incontinence pad which I'm trying to change whilst getting aggressive attacked by them for changing said pad and ruining their peace. You mean morning? That's easy. Every time I wake up. All my friends graduated and moved out of our apartment while I still had a year left before getting my degree. Was sitting on the couch alone in a giant apartment high and looked around and realized I did not want this to be my life. Started making changes and am in a way better place now. I was driving home after I got fired from a lame warehouse job and had no real prospects going forward. I finally found the motivation to get an actual profession in short order. Ran into an ex. Her stock was rising fast, mine in a spiral. Working nights with a shitty boss. I took a 2-week vacation, time I had earned, and I still had a bunch left over, and on my last night he called and begged me to come in and cover a shift so he wouldn't have to, even though it was my vacation. Decided that very night to do something else with my life. Also, don't work nights, kids. It plays hell on your physical and mental health. When I deviated from my graphic design career into client services to try and earn more money, my manager said we need to get you some sales training, and I had a proper Dolly Zoom moment. Every time I show up to work, pretty much every moment, my first day of college, my last day of college, every day I struggled with my religious identity. My first day of my first adult job and a lot of days since. Playing Modern Warfare 2 about 20 minutes ago. What a pile of shit that game is. When I was putting so much effort to make my workplace cleaner and more tolerable only to have the store manager thank someone else for doing it. Even after being told it wasn't that person and was indeed me, he still didn't properly thank me. I wasn't looking for praise, but still it would have been nice for him to correctly address the right person. After a week of doing hard drugs and very little sleep, I suddenly got eye contact with myself in a mirror. I was wearing a pantyhose with nothing underneath, a bra, a World War II helmet, ski goggles obviously, and a pair of furry slippers. I do not own any of those items. I am a hairy, bearded man whose brain apparently likes to cross-dress as a slutty skiing Nazi. When I saw myself I went straight to bed, sobered up, and never did drugs again. I was probably having fun though, can't really remember. Funny you should ask, BC. I was just thinking the same thing in the shower earlier today. I'm in a rut that's so deep it feels like I'm in the trenches, so I'm not sure where to go. I ask myself that every day. No matter what accomplishments I do, I'm an Eagle Scout BTW, I second guess myself and never feel half decent about myself, existing. Right now. Been fighting an ex-wife for over 5 years on custody issues. Everything I do or say is abusive. The only way is for the court system to get involved. Also, I work a lot. Last couple of years, asking too much. Too painful, but it will pass eventually. Being an idiot with my friends. The day after my husband of 31 years died. I had never even considered that we wouldn't be together forever. I felt lost and confused. Now, dark loading screen where suddenly I can see my own reflection. Literally every day lol. Had a brief interview and was halfway through the hiring process for a job I barely have experience for. It's my 3rd job this year in the 3rd province I've worked in, and would mean moving 4 times in 1 year. Makes my life feel wild. Sat back, figured it might be good experience, and I have been enjoying traveling. I'm young but I move too much to make friends. Still sending it though. When I'm driving home from work, reading an article about how Sam Bankman-Fried was my age but built an empire and a multi-billion-dollar fortune. Been having a rethink lately. Yesterday, I put the milk in the microwave instead of the fridge. Every day with my morning coffee. All the time when I think about how the thing I've happened into doing for 8 hours a day has little to no benefit to society as a whole while also being meaningless within the company, but it pays just well enough to keep me there despite the boredom making holes in my brain. It wouldn't be so bad if I could do work from home, but my company didn't let any of my peers work from home even during the pandemic. Honestly, right now. Broke up with my boyfriend of 1.5 years and he had a mental breakdown while I went over to my sister to process. He's now being admitted to the psychiatric hospital. Like honestly, How did it come so far? Every day when I wake up. When I hit sophomore year and realized I'm literally doing the exact same routine every single goddamn day of the week. The only days I feel free are when we get 4-day breaks. Wife has the talk regularly. When I flunked out of college and realized I'd been moving sideways in life since 9th grade and the consequences are 10x worse as an adult. Me right now at my dead-end office job with nothing to do but having to sit here and pretend like I'm working until I can leave at the end of my shift. Feels like such a waste of life, but if I leave I don't get paid for the time. This plus the seasonal depression is giving me some hardcore burnout. 7 a.m. every morning without fail. I'm a teacher. I ask this question every day. When I asked the CEO if my job was safe with the upcoming company restructuring, and he answered with a non-answer word salad. When I was considering making porn cams with a Tinder match just out of boredom, I'm a hetero male. Oh man. When at a park I couldn't get my seatbelts on because I was too fat. When I realized women didn't want to be anywhere near me. When I realized I'd be mad angry if my future daughter would be dating someone like me. Losing my 7th game in a row of League of Legends in Plat 4 after playing for 10 years. Every day, man. Every day. Everyone's answers are great. In my life, it's been progressing, realizing I'll soon be 30 years at a job that should have been no more than 5. We had a shooting here in July and I just kind of stood there and watched as the guy was shooting people before his bullets ran out and on his way out. Why am I still here? It was kind of a thing where, like Shawshank, get busy living, or get busy dying. I'm out eventually, unless I die first. Usually when I'm arguing on Reddit, getting ready to get on a bronc named, of all things, lunatic on my second ride. Really makes you question your life decisions. About 10 years ago when I was doing rails off a hooker's ass and my wife was going to be home from work in an hour. Today, after my wife yet again started a fight with me through texts and then blocked me while I was stressing in traffic trying to make it to my college class on time. She's done this to me every day for a long time, to the point I am questioning why I'm with her. Every fucking day. Abusive relationship after college. Hey, even if you're a guy you can be in an abusive relationship. The moment I accepted I didn't have to live independently after college, could go home and sort myself out for a bit. Not to mention I could leave this cruel person I was stuck with by my own choices only. The ride with my dad home after became an actual catharsis. Best decision I ever made. I was 18 working at a fast food place arguing with a man 30 years older than me, making the same that I was. All I could think was fuck, that's going to be me. Went to trade school a month later, became a foreman. Daily. When I see my peers succeed and accomplish big things, when I remember about my dreams which seem so impossible, when I remember all the sucky choices I've made, aka 99 of my life, when I'm working dead-end jobs and remember all the money spent on university. During the beginning of the pandemic. Working in the ICU. Wasn't even an ICU nurse. Reusing the same N95 mask as before. Trying to do a Skype call with the family of the patient so he could say goodbye before we intubated. The critical care doctor was pissed because he wanted to intubate ASAP, but all the ventilators were in use. I'm sweating to death in the protective gown. And my charge nurse says we are about to get another admission. Put in my 2 weeks after that shift. Every time I write comments on Reddit, every time I watch porn. I got rich. Now I sit here at 30, rich enough not to have to work, and have no fun, really don't know how to get out in the world. People say go to hobbies, I've tried, all that's there are much older people. When I realized that I was living to work and not working to live. When I was in 2nd grade and beat the shit out of another kid. Elon Musk the morning after he bought Twitter. Age 16 doing my first ever 8-hour shift that started at 9 for an air show traffic control. In the initial morning rush I was standing there for about almost 3 hours with little to no traffic and thought to myself, what am I doing with my life? Then proceeded to do nothing that entire day. I don't want to talk about it. When I let a dude suck my dick for $100. Got a promotion at work with a significant pay increase and realized I honestly didn't give a shit. It felt meaningless. I was working routine 10-12-hour days and going home to an empty apartment, a cat, and World of Warcraft. Gaming until I got tired, going to bed, waking up and repeating. I was in my mid-30s and the notion of a fancier job title and more money just left me feeling empty inside. It wasn't going to change anything. Pretty much any time I did meth after a certain point. Watching yet another game managed by Steve Bruce. Coming out of a mushroom trip. The trip itself had me a lot to reflect on, and when I was coming down from it, I decided that my life needed to change in several very instrumental ways. So, I began to change the smaller things first, moving on to the larger issues. Yes. 1970. Deep in the North Atlantic in a submarine. Hadn't seen daylight in 10 weeks. A hydraulic leak had damaged most of our toilet paper supply. I was on watch 12 hours a day. We were out of ice cream mix. I thought this sucks and didn't re-enlist. Probably happens 5-6 times a day. Every day since mid-September. Every day since mid-September. Chasing a naked psychotic mentally ill client through a parking lot in 110-degree heat with no hat or sunglasses. I questioned life for a bit. At least the first time this happened.